Let me be very honest with you. Most students are already losing marks in this question type, even before the audio starts. Not because the question is difficult and not because their English is weak, but because they are completely unprepared to take notes. They hear the discussion, they try to write everything, they mix up speakers, and within just 20 seconds, their notes become completely useless. And once your notes are messy, your answer is kind of finished. Summarize Group Discussion is the sixth question type of PTE Academic Speaking module. In this task, you will hear a discussion between three university students. The recording can be up to 3 minutes long. Before the recording starts, you will get only 3 seconds. After the recording is finished, you will get 10 seconds to prepare and then around 2 minutes to answer. In a real exam, you'll usually get 2 to 3 questions for this type of question. Now listen carefully because this is where most students underestimate this question. According to the official Pearson scoring system, this question contributes significantly to both speaking by 18.8% and listening by 20%, and also to your overall score by a whopping 9%, which makes it one of the highest scoring question types in the entire test. Each question of Summarize Group Discussion carries 16 marks in total, including 6 for fluency, 6 for content, 5 for fluency and pronunciation each. And very importantly, your content is also checked by human evaluators, which means accuracy really matters. What is accuracy and content we'll understand soon. Content is your ability to answer from the question. It doesn't mean that you have to answer 100% accurately or only the important information needs to be in your answer. You just have to answer from the question. And of course, you cannot use any template. Next, you have to keep your fluency and pronunciation in mind, of course, because this is speaking test, of course. And after all, speaking question type will focus on fluency and pronunciation by any means. You need to ensure that you speak at a constant pace. Speaking too fast or too slow will cost you dearly. You need to ensure that you speak for at least a minute to minute and a half with as little hesitation, repetition, and mumbling as possible. Your pronunciation is all about clarity. When you are speaking, you need to ensure that your speech is easily understandable. Remember, your accent is not at all important. Now, let's be very clear about one thing. Most students think this question is a speaking problem. It is not really. It is a note-taking problem. If your notes are weak, your answer will collapse. That is the simplest possible reality. So let's talk about the system that actually works. The first step is the preparation before the audio even starts. You need to divide your notepad into 3 clear sections, one for each speaker. This must be done before the recording begins because you only get 3 seconds before the recording begins. And here is a very powerful but secret strategy. You can actually do this during the answer short question segment. You can ignore that question type, that answer short question type for a few seconds and prepare your note-taking layout in advance. This gives you a huge advantage. And remember, answer short question is not at all important. Now, let's talk about what you should write. First, you write the main topic of the discussion. Then, for each speaker, you only write the first sentence idea. This is extremely important because the first sentence usually contains the main idea, and rest of the sentences that has been said or will be said are mostly the explanation. If you try to write everything down, you will get overwhelmed. But if you focus on the first idea or the first sentence mostly, your note will stay clean and organized. This is also a very common mistake that students make, that they think they should only write the important information. Now, the problem is you should write whatever you want to write because you don't really know which one is important. In order to know which one is important, you have to actually listen to the whole one and then decide. So do not overthink about the importance during the audio when the audio is going on. Just capture the information. Whichever you can capture, you write it down. I'll definitely demonstrate that when I'm going to show you how I take note. Now let's talk about how to answer. You should not use a fixed template. Instead, you should follow a flexible structure. You can start by saying the main topic of the discussion, then move to the first speaker, then the second speaker, and then the third speaker, using connectors like moreover, furthermore, another key point, and so on. This allows your response to flow naturally while still being organized and while still not using any template. Your target should be to produce at least 10 sentences covering all the speakers clearly. That means 3 sentences for each speaker and the main topic. You should speak for at least 1 minute to around 1 minute 20 seconds. Obviously, you can speak for longer, but this is the bare minimum. Now, I will demonstrate in detail about how I take notes for one question. Once done, I will then show you how I answer. After that, I will play question 2, and later I will also show you the notes of question 2. But I will leave you to answer it all by yourself. Now that you learned how to prepare yourself for note taking, I would like to draw your attention to one more important thing. When you are note taking, please do not worry about important information. The reason is very simple. Important information has no definition. All right. Here you can listen to a full recording and think about important information, but the problem is you do not really have that much of a time. Another factor here is in PTE Academic Summarize Group Discussion scoring type, you have to understand that you are getting a score for content as a form of gatekeeping. Okay, what does it mean? That means the system does not really look for how important information or how many important information has been mentioned by the speaker. Rather, it looks for whether the speaker has used content from the question. Thus, it works as a gatekeeper to ensure that the question and answer are for the same recordings, not something that is templated or memorized. Another important factor about note taking is never ever write in full. Okay, a lot of students try to write in full sentences, and that's when they lose a lot of score. The reason is very simple. The speaker will always speak much faster compared to the speed you can actually produce for your writing, right? For example, I'll just play this recording again for a bit so that you understand. We will just look into the first sentence or the main topic sentence, and I will try to write it in my way, right? So let's try in playing in 3, 2, 1.
3 students are discussing getting help during office hours at university.
I'm finding it so hard to really get the most out of office hours.
See, when I am writing the answer, or sorry, note, I'm taking the note, I'm not trying to write in the way he said. He said 3 students are talking about getting help from the university. I'm just writing help at uni. This will ensure that I have good enough note for me to write a proper sentence, but also I have finished it right on time so that I can now start taking notes for speaker 1, right? This is how you should take notes. Now let's listen to this audio again and learn about one more trick about note taking. And this is, in this time I will note. I'll do that for speaker 1, first sentence. All right. I'm just playing the audio, rewinding the audio a bit. Let's play it
Are
again.
discussing getting help during office hours at university.
I'm finding it so hard to like really get the most out of office hours. I mean, I go, but sometimes I feel like I'm not even asking the right questions, you know? Like I'm missing something basic before I can even say what I need help with. It's kind of intimidating, especially when there are other students waiting.
I get that. I think a lot of students feel the same way. The problem is, office hours are often
Now, understand this. Here, when I took note for the first sentence of the speaker 1, I did not actually worry too much about whatever she said. She said she finds it very hard to get the most out of the office hours, and she finds it very difficult to ask questions. There are other students who felt for whom she feels intimidating. But see, I do not really have to write all of them. I only wrote about this bit, which I can now make a proper sentence to, right? You know, if she finds that the speaker 1 finds it very difficult or very hard to get the most out of office hours at the university, as it is difficult for her to ask questions or write questions, if you can remember that. I'm not worried about the rest of the things she said because, hey, frankly speaking, I can't remember everything, number 1. And number 2, I cannot also think about whatever she wrote, I can write it as well because, hey, she will always speak faster than I can write. I hope this bit is clear. This will help you now take notes. So one thing that we learned is when we are taking note, we are not going to worry about important information. We rather will focus on getting as much content as we can by writing down whatever we can understand and remember, and we will not try to write in full. We'll just try to write in an indicative way so that we can keep on taking notes. Now it is time that we actually take note of the full recording and try to answer it. Now, as you can see that I have a white paper here just to take notes when the recording is going on. As you can see, it's totally empty at the moment, but this is not how I want you to think about Summarise Group Discussion. Understand this, before the Summarise Group Discussion recording begins, you only have 3 seconds at your end to prepare your note-taking or notepad to take your notes. But understand this, 3 seconds may not be enough, right? That's why I want you to strategize your note-taking position or note-taking situation. Remember, you will have up to 3 questions of Summarise Group Discussion in your PTE academic test. So what I want you to do is, during the previous question type that you know is answer short question and not at all important, you should prepare your notepad to take notes. For example, if I were to take the exam today, during the answer short questions, I will prepare my notepads like this. I will start with MT, that will mean main topic, because each and every recording will start with the main topic. Then I will put down like this S1 indicating speaker 1, and I will keep about 4 to 5 lines gap and write S2 indicating speaker 2, and then I will go to do the same for speaker 3. The reason why I do it like this is most of the time each speaker will focus only on one up to 3 main points that he or she will talk about. So it's easier for me if I keep 3 to 4 lines or 4 to 5 lines, to be honest, gap. It will make sure that I have enough space to take notes, right? And as you can see, I am writing S1, S2, S3 separately, indicating that I will take notes of all that speaker 1 will talk about in this blank, and I will take note again about speaker 2 in this blank and speaker 3 in this blank. So this is how my note will be organized. And eventually, this is how my answer will be organized. I will be delivering all that speaker 1 says from here in one go, and then I will go for speaker 2 and I will go for speaker 3. I'm not saying that you must do that. You can definitely choose to do one line from speaker 1 and then go to speaker 2 and then go to speaker 3. However, I found it more feasible and manageable in terms of fluency and pronunciation if I actually follow the speaking pattern of one speaker at a time. It allows me to not use multiple joiners and thus create a bit of a confusion while I'm actually trying to do my speaking, right? So this is my way of note taking. Again, you can definitely strategize your note taking, but this works. I have gotten 90 in both occasions that I took the test. I believe a lot of my students also have found this very useful. Now that we learned how to take notes, let's try and take notes. As you can see, my note taking strategy is in place. Now that we learned how to take notes, now let's take note for this Summarise group discussion. As you can see, I have already prepared my notepad. I used MT S1, S2 and S3 as I discussed earlier. Now let me play this recording and start taking notes. I'm going to play it now.
3 students are discussing getting help during office hours at university.
I'm finding it so hard to really get the most out of office hours. I mean, I go, but sometimes I feel like I'm not even asking the right questions, you know? Like I'm missing something basic before I can even say what I need help with. It's kind of intimidating, especially when there are other students waiting.
I get that. I think a lot of students feel the same way. The problem is, office hours are often scheduled right when you have another class, or you're just totally exhausted after a long day. It's hard to be prepared. I end up just showing up hoping the professor can magically figure out what I'm struggling with.
Maybe we should try to be more prepared before we go. Actually write down specific questions or problems we're working on. That way, we won't waste time trying to figure out what to ask. It could make the whole thing easier for us and the professor. Plus, it'll probably make us feel less nervous too.
That's a good idea, Arya. I've also heard that some professors are easier to talk to than others. Maybe we should try to find out which professors are known for being helpful and patient during office hours. It might make a big difference in how comfortable we feel asking questions. And, maybe go when it's not so busy.
True. I've definitely felt rushed during office hours when the professor is super busy. Maybe we could also try to work together before going to office hours. Form a small study group where we can, brainstorm questions and work through problems together. Then we can go to the professor with better questions.
I like that. A study group could really help. And maybe we should also think about using other stuff besides just office hours, like the tutoring center or online forums. Sometimes getting a different way of seeing things can make all the difference. It's not just about the professor, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Arya. Sometimes I feel like I'm only thinking about getting the professor's approval, but there are actually tons of other things we could use. We should definitely try harder to check those out. It's about, taking charge of our own learning.
Okay, so next time, let's try to get specific questions ready, check out other resources, and maybe even get together beforehand to, brainstorm. I think that would really help us use office hours better. Plus, it'll make us feel more confident, too.
Sounds like a plan. We could even schedule a study session every week before office hours. That way, we're all on the same page and can help each other out. Let's make getting help during office hours less scary and more useful. I'm in.
Alright guys, now that you have seen how I take note, I hope I made it pretty clear that when I'm gonna take note in indicative way, in short forms and everything that I discussed at the beginning of this video. What I would like to pay attention to or draw your attention to at the moment is many students, while taking preparation, think that, all right, I have now taken notes, I'm gonna deliver. Now that's right, that's what you are going to do in your exam day. But at home, remember, you are preparing. So I would like you to take it one step further. like I also do all the time. How does it work? All right, let me show you. So what I do in this case, as you can see, I've taken another new paper. Instead of just trying to answer them directly, because let's say I'm a first-time test taker and I'm just learning, I try to write the full sentences from these indicative sentences so that I can prepare myself to be able to write first, and then I try to answer by speaking. For example, if I take the first sentence into account, HLP at uni, I would rather say the discussion was about and all those things, we will definitely talk about it in while we are answering. So I will just write getting help at university during office hours. So by this way, I am able to write a sentence properly that is from my note taking. If I go to the next sentence, or speaker one's first sentence, obviously I'm gonna say the speaker at first, the speaker one started the conversation by blah blah blah. What I'm gonna try to do is to write note about these two lines here, so that write a full sentence about these two lines, because I remember I took them as part of the first sentence. So what I'm going to do here is this: so I can read it like this: hard to get most out of office hours, as it is difficult to ask questions or ask the right questions. That's what I'll write. Hard to get the most out of office hours, as it is difficult to ask the right question. See, if you're worried about, all right, this kind of note taking, whether they will yield any good outcome, you can see that I have been able to write the perfect sentence. So I can easily say before that, all right, whatever I want to say. So I would rather say the speaker one started the conversation by stating that, and then I'm gonna start from here. If that so happens, see how long does it take me to say this sentence? The speaker one started the conversation by stating that it is hard to get the most out of office hours, as it is difficult to ask the right question. So you can see that this one sentence itself took me close to 10 seconds or more. So think about it. If you can prepare sentences like that by taking notes like this, you will definitely be able to talk for more than 1.5 minutes during your Summarize group discussion answering time. And remember, to do well, you just simply have to talk for more than 1 minute to 1 minute 10 or 20 seconds, right? So I hope this helps. Now what we will do is I'm gonna create sentences for all of them. Obviously that's not gonna be part of the video, and once that is done, I'm gonna try and deliver the answer for you guys. As you just saw me demonstrate how I take notes and how you should take notes as well, now let's listen to my answer. First of all, I do not follow any template. Neither do I follow any fixed structure as well. My structure is simple: main topic, followed by everything speaker 1 said, followed by speaker 2 and speaker 3. What I do is I keep on using joiners between sentences that I can answer, so that I can answer fluently. Remember, this is a speaking question type. Whatever your content is, there cannot be any compromise to fluency and pronunciation. So, here is my answer. You can see the notes on the screen. My answer goes, the discussion was about getting help at university during the office hours. Speaker 1 started the conversation by stating that it is hard to get the most out of office hours as it is difficult to ask the right question. She also said that she felt rushed as the professors are usually very busy. She thinks that forming smaller study groups can be really helpful as the questions can be brainstormed. She concluded by stating that getting questions ready will help her feel more confident. Speaker 2 also feels the same way and said that most students feel the same. On top of that, he mentioned the office hours are scheduled either during the class times or at the end of the day when he is tired. He is keen to find out which professors are easy and helpful as they will make him more comfortable. He ended up accepting that he needs to explore other ways rather than only thinking of professors' approval. Speaker 3 thinks being more prepared by writing down the questions will make them feel easier. She suggested that forming study groups will be really helpful. She is also interested to explore other options like getting help from the tutorial center and using online forms. She concluded that scheduling study group sessions before office hours will help all of them to be better prepared. So, did you see how I answered? I didn't try to rush it. I simply created simple sentences with simple vocabularies with the help of the notes I took. I ensured that I have very little mumbling. Obviously, I had few, and as little hesitation as possible. And most importantly, my answer was legible. That's it. That's how we actually perfectly take notes and deliver a flawless answer to secure maximum score in PTE Summarize Group Discussion. Now, let's listen to the recording of question 2. Take proper notes. My notes will be revealed after the recording is finished. Once you are done with note taking, try recording your answers with a reasonable fluency and pronunciation. Best of luck.
3 students are discussing online versus in-person classes at university.
Honestly, I think online classes are just way more convenient, especially if you have a part time job. You can totally fit your lectures around your own schedule, and there's no wasted time commuting at all. Plus, it's great if you like learning on your own, because you really have to be disciplined.
Yeah, I get why it's convenient, but I really miss the in-person stuff. Like, it's so much easier to just ask questions straight away in a lecture, and group discussions feel way more natural face-to-face. And also, the vibe on campus just feels more, helpful for learning.
Yeah, I totally agree with Liam. I mean, online is flexible, but I've just found it really hard to stay focused sometimes, you know? There are just so many distractions at home, and I feel a bit like cut off from my classmates and teachers. It's super easy to fall behind if you're not always checking emails in those platforms.
That's a fair point about distractions, but honestly, for me, the flexibility is just way more important. I can rewatch lectures if I miss something, which, you can't do in a live class. And also, for quieter students, being able to join online forums can be way less scary than speaking up in a big lecture hall.
Yeah, rewatching lectures is definitely a big plus. But I also feel like you really miss out on those spontaneous chats and like meeting people on campus. Those informal talks after class or in the library are super valuable for making connections and understanding different viewpoints, you know?
Exactly. The social side is just huge, isn't it? University isn't just about, the lessons. It's about the whole experience. You can build study groups way more easily. And getting immediate feedback, or if you need something explained, it's just simpler when you're in the same room as your professor.
I guess like a hybrid model might be the best idea then. You could have some lectures online for flexibility, but keep workshops, labs, and tutorials in person. That way, we get the best of both worlds without completely losing out on the campus experience.
Yeah, a hybrid approach sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, at the end of the day, different students just do well in different environments. Some really need the structure of in person classes, while others prefer the freedom that online learning gives them. Universities should totally offer more options depending on the course and what students actually need.
I totally agree with that. For me, just being on campus, even for a few days a week, makes a huge difference to my motivation and how much I get involved. It's hard to beat that feeling of being part of a really lively university community, you know?
I hope you took great notes and recorded very good answer. Remember, practice is the key. You won't get it right straight away, so keep on practicing. Before we move on, remember this. If your notes are clear, your answer will be clear. If your notes are messy, your score will drop because your answer will be messy. Note taking is everything in this question type. Not only in this question type, but also in retell lecture and summarize a spoken text. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you are serious about achieving your target PTE score, we offer 2 weeks intensive courses, 1 month and 2 month programs, and also one-to-one coaching in Bangladesh. In Australia, all our courses are one-on-one and customizable to your needs. You can contact us in Australia on 0456 446 963 and in Bangladesh on 018899829112, or you can simply email us at info@acepte.com.au. We will try to guide you step by step to achieve your desired score. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.